Just over a couple of months ago, we launched a weekly podcast called Into the Killing. In each episode, we examine cold cases that were eventually solved. In this week's episode, we look at two cold cases that share something in common. They were eventually solved without the victim's body being found. Bodiless murder cases are some of the hardest to solve. Yet, after decades, these two cases were closed. You can find Into the Killing on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and anywhere you find great podcasts. Before we start today's video, we want to bring you a word from our sponsor, Darkfire Heroes. Oh my god, what's this? Well friends, it's the amazing, new, free-to-play mobile RPG Darkfire Heroes, and it's completely free. Download it now via the link in the description of this video. Collect, upgrade, and play as crazy, powerful, common, rare, and epic heroes. Just look at how many awesome ones there are to choose from. Battle your way through armies of deadly monsters and ghouls in this non-stop, real-time strategic RPG that's changing the way RPGs are played on mobile forever. Face unimaginably tough bosses that test your skills, but also give awesome rewards. There's a whole new adventure waiting for you to explore in Darkfire Heroes. Battle your friends in the real-time PvP arena and claim the title as the true Darkfire hero. Guys, if you want to download it for free, in the description below, you'll receive a special new player welcome bonus, including an adventure chest on your very first day. This is the game changer we've been waiting for. Choose your hero, slay the bad guys, don't hesitate to join the adventure, and join my clan. Darkfire Heroes is completely free on Android and iOS. Download link in the description. If you are after some fast-paced RPG, then download Darkfire Heroes now and receive a special reward. I'll see you on the battlefield, friends. Number 3. Karen Beard. In early 1991, Karen Beard was 35 years old. Karen had two daughters with her ex-husband, Reese Beard. Karen and Reese got divorced 5 years earlier in California. Their separation led to a bitter custody dispute. Both Reese and Karen accused each other of adultery, drug dealing, drug abuse, and alcoholism. In 1987, Karen missed a custody hearing, and the custody of the two girls was given over to Reese. Not long after Reese got custody, he and the two girls moved back to his hometown of Kingston, Tennessee. Kingston, which is in Roane County, had a population of about 4,500 people. Reese's parents were prominent citizens in the county. His mother, Dr. Carolyn Beard, who was the director of the Roane County Health Department, and his father, Dr. Craig Beard, was a well-known dentist. Karen ended up following her ex-husband and her children to Roane County. She got an apartment in Harriman. Karen had a history of drug addiction. She had used cocaine and methamphetamine. But her family said in the early 1990s she had gone clean because she wanted to be a good mother. In early 1991, Karen was working as a waitress at a restaurant in Lenoir City, Tennessee. She was fighting to get custody of her two daughters. Karen was 7.5 months pregnant. In January 1991, there was a custody hearing for Karen, and she missed it. Karen's lawyer, Brenda Hall, thought it was strange that Karen would miss the hearing because Karen had worked so hard to try to get custody of her daughters, and Hall thought she had a good chance of winning. So Hall reported Karen missing. Hall went with the police to Karen's apartment. They got inside of it and found nothing was out of sorts. There were no signs of a struggle, and nothing had been stolen. In the apartment, they found Karen's purse, wallet, and car keys. Brenda Hall said it was eerie, like a poltergeist took her away and left everything else behind. The police then tried to retrace Karen's last steps. The last time she was seen alive was over a week earlier, on January 15, 1991. She had dropped off her daughters at the home of her former parents-in-law. The next day, Karen was supposed to work, but she didn't show up for her shift. Her co-workers asked the police to do a welfare check. An officer went over to her apartment and knocked on her door. No one answered, so he left. That same day, a towing company in the area got a phone call from a woman claiming to be Karen Beard. She gave them directions to her car and said she wanted it towed. But for whatever reason, the car wasn't towed. The person who took the call listened to a recording of Karen's voice. He said that wasn't the voice of the woman who called him. Karen's car was found abandoned near the banks of the Clinch River, less than a mile from Karen's in-laws' home. There were no clues as to what happened to Karen in the car. It did not take long before the case went cold. The investigators said that they do not believe that Karen chose to disappear. Instead, they think she was murdered. An investigator with the district attorney's office said that he believes that Karen was taken to a home in Kingston where she was murdered and that her body was disposed of. The main focus of the investigation was Karen's ex-husband, Reese Beard. Karen's lawyer said that Karen was mortally afraid of her ex-husband. Two detectives who worked on the case and an investigator from the district attorney's office said that they believe that more than one person was involved in the murder. They also think that someone in law enforcement was involved in the cover-up. One detective said, "I always had a feeling that there was someone in the Beard family and someone in law enforcement too, who knew more than they told us. There was just too much cat and mouse going on. When we would go to talk to some people, they were always prepared to pass us off to someone else." The detective said that they had 3 suspects who they thought knew something about the disappearance. They were described as rough and unsavory characters. They were also Reese's friends. Several years after Karen disappeared, one of the suspects was dying of cancer in the hospital. Word reached the investigator with the district attorney's office that the man wanted to talk. But by the time the investigator got to the hospital, the man fell into a coma that he never woke up from, and he died the next day. Another major question surrounding the case that remains unanswered is who was the father of the baby that Karen was carrying. Karen told her sister that Reese was the father. Reese's mother said she didn't even know for sure that Karen was pregnant, but she had heard rumors. She said that Reese had told her that if Karen was pregnant, he was not the father. It's been over 30 years since Karen Beard went missing. Her family believes she was murdered. Karen's sister didn't explain why she thought this, but she believes her sister's remains were put into a metal box and dumped into the river. Karen's family, including her 2 daughters, hopes that her remains will be found one day soon. Number 2. Darlene Tucker and Jinisina Stonehouse. Oakville, Ontario, Canada is a town situated on the banks of Lake Ontario. It's in between Hamilton and Toronto. In the early 1980s, it was home to about 75,000 people. In early 1983, 16-year-old Darlene Yvonne Tucker lived in Oakville with her family. On Valentine's Day 1983, Darlene got into an argument with her mother. It turned out that Darlene was pregnant for the second time. She had already given birth to one child and put it up for adoption. After the argument, Darlene moved in with her boyfriend and his family. But that only lasted a few weeks. Darlene had supposedly been seeing a man who lived in Toronto, and her boyfriend didn't like that. They got into a fight, and Darlene left his house. After Darlene's boyfriend and his family didn't hear from her for a week, her boyfriend's father reported her missing. The police talked to Darlene's mother, Barbara. Barbara said that in the month after Darlene was reported missing, she called home several times. She had a call collect from a payphone in Huntsville. Huntsville is a tourist town about 150 miles north of Oakville. But after those phone calls, Darlene fell out of contact with her family. Jinisina Stonehouse, who went by Jan, was a friend of Darlene's. Like Darlene, Jan was 16 years old. In the summer of 1983, Jan's mother was dying of liver cancer in the hospital. On August 19, 1983, Jan's father reported her missing. Jan's father heard that she may have run away from home because she was afraid because she was pregnant. Her brother said she was afraid of her mother dying. Jan's family was hoping she would visit her mother at least one more time. Sadly, Jan's mother passed away without seeing Jan. Jan did not contact her family in the wake of her mother's death. In fact, she never contacted her family again. In 1985, there was a confirmed sighting of Darlene Tucker. The police in Ontario consider a confirmed sighting to be someone who knew the subject before they disappeared. The witness said that Darlene was working as a waitress in downtown Toronto. There was one more confirmed sighting of Darlene, and that was 2 years later, in 1987. She was seen in the Huntsville area, which is where she made the collect calls in the month after she left her boyfriend's home. What is notable about the sighting is that Darlene wasn't alone. Supposedly, she was with Jan Stonehouse. Jan's family had a connection to Huntsville because they had a trailer there. Since then, there have been other sightings of the two women, but none of the sightings have been confirmed. Darlene had money in a trust account that would go to her when she turned 18, but she never claimed the money. The families of both women believe that they are still alive. In 2014, Darlene's mother, Barbara, had a message she wanted to tell Darlene, and she told it through missingkids.ca. She said, "We don't want to disrupt your life. We just want to know that you're alive and well. We miss you and we love you. We want her to know that we are still thinking of her." In the years since Jan went missing, her father has also passed away. Jan's surviving family members are hoping that she will contact them if she is still alive. After an article about the disappearances was published in 2014, several tips came into the police. One tip said that the women were alive and living in Ontario under different names. The police followed up on these tips, but they didn't find the women. The following are descriptions of the young women at the time they disappeared in 1983. Darlene Tucker was white with blue/hazel eyes and dark brown shoulder-length hair. She was 5'4" and weighed 119 pounds. She had a 1-inch scar above her right eyebrow and another 1-inch scar above her right knee. One of her more noticeable features is a gap between her front two teeth. Also, Darlene had an allergy that caused the skin on her hands to blister. Jan Stonehouse was white with green eyes and wavy shoulder-length blonde hair. She was 5'4" and weighed 110 pounds. It's been about 38 years since the families of Darlene Tucker and Jan Stonehouse have seen or heard from them. If they are alive at the time of this recording, Darlene and Jan would be 54 years old. Their families are hoping that they are still alive and that they'll contact them. Number 1. Celina Mays. Celina Mays was born on May 28, 1984 in Miami, Florida. Her mother, Lynn Vitale, was an exotic dancer, and her father, C.J. Mays, was a part-time musician. Celina weighed just 2¼ pounds when she was born. Lynn and C.J. were both drug addicts, and C.J. also drank. Their relationship was rocky, and there were allegations of abuse. The family eventually moved to Palmyra, New Jersey. But Lynn and CJ did not end up staying together. After the split up, Celina lived with her mother, Lynn. Lynn managed to kick her drug habit in the early 1990s. She also managed to get a job as a custodian with the Palmyra School Board. Lynn and Celina attended church regularly and they did charity work. CJ also got heavily involved in religion. His sister was the leader of a Pentecostal church called the Gospel of Christ Ministries, Inc., and it was based in Mount Holly, New Jersey. The congregation had about 60 people. CJ got married, and his wife was the secretary of the church. CJ worked as the church's bookkeeper. In May 1994, Lynn suffered a brain aneurysm and died suddenly. Lynn's family fought for custody of Celina. But since CJ was her biological father, he was granted custody of her. Celina moved into her aunt's house in Willingboro, New Jersey, which isn't far from Mount Holly, where the church was located. Celina lived with her father, stepmother, aunt, cousin, and several other relatives. It was a strict household, and there were a lot of rules for Celina. For example, she was not allowed to go outside and play. Celina was also homeschooled. Despite the strict rules that surrounded her, something shocking happened just before Celina's 12th birthday. She became pregnant. She told the obstetrician that her boyfriend was 16 years old and not a member of the church. It's believed that's the only thing that Celina said about the father of the child. It was decided that Celina would keep the baby. Celina's due date was December 29, 1996. On December 13th, she went and saw her obstetrician. The next night, Celina was at home and she went to bed around 11 p.m. The next morning, CJ discovered that 12-year-old Celina was missing. Pillows had been positioned under the blankets to make it look like she was sleeping in bed. She left behind some notable things like her prenatal vitamins, her purse, and her favorite compact disc. Celina was reported missing that day. The authorities desperately wanted to find Celina because she was just 2 weeks shy of her due date. Since she was 12 years old, her body was not developed enough to give birth vaginally. But Celina's due date came and went, and there was no word from her. Celina Mays has been missing ever since. There are many theories as to what happened to Celina Mays. Celina's mother's family believes that CJ and the church are hiding her. There were allegations from family of current members and former members that the church was cult-like. The church was also accused of using brainwashing techniques. CJ and his sister, who was the head of the church, denied that they were a brainwashing cult. The police noted that members of the church were uncooperative with their investigation. CJ told the media that the church was not the reason Celina ran away. CJ accused Celina's mother's family of being behind her disappearance. He thinks that they are hiding Celina and her child from him. Before Celina disappeared, CJ told her several times that he would do paternity tests if she didn't tell him who the father was. Instead of going through all that, Celina simply ran away with her mother's family's help. Another theory is that Celina is dead. Some people have speculated that she died in an amateur abortion. Another possibility is that the baby's father killed her and then hid her body so she wouldn't reveal his identity. If he were older than 18, he could have been charged with rape. But there is no evidence to substantiate any of these theories. The identity of the father of Celina's baby is also a mystery. One relative believes that the father is a boy whom Celina met while roller skating. The police think that the father is Celina's 21-year-old cousin who lived with her. The man had fathered 7 children with 4 different women. He denied being the father of Celina's baby. The police know that someone knows something about Celina's disappearance. They are hoping that person will come forward and shed some light on the mystery. It's been 24 years since Celina Mays went missing. If she gave birth and the child is still alive today, they would be 24 years old. Celina would be 36. There have been a few sightings of Celina since she went missing, but none of them have been confirmed. Celina was 12 years old when she went missing. She was 5 feet tall and weighed 120 pounds, but that was when she was 9 months pregnant. She is biracial, with long black wavy hair and brown eyes. Her eyebrows grew into each other. Both sides of Celina's family said that they hope she is still alive and that she'll contact them just to let them know she's alive. Please don't forget to check out our sponsor, Darkfire Heroes. It's an exciting free-to-play RPG. The link to download the game is in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thank you again for watching.